君が一番乗りか。
なんだ、まだ誰も来てねえのか。しょうがねえ奴らだ。
Zoro is currently facing Rob Lucci in his awakened form, and because of this, once again we have proof that Kaido's speech in his fight against Luffy makes perfect sense. Open quotes for Kaido's words. Roger dominated the seas even without having the power of a devil fruit. This just proves that Haki is the power that can dominate the world. Close quotes. As we can see, this context is really interesting. Seeing how Zoro is enduring facing someone with the power of the devil fruit awakened is something to take into consideration. However, from now on things should become more and more dangerous, and now that Zoro is stronger after defeating King and developing his Haki even further, well, for me, what does Zoro need to finally reach his peak? So like Luffy, and a new sword. But not only that, Zoro must take a step forward and master the ability to use the Conqueror's Haki imbued in his sword, not in the same way as he did against Kaido, but rather as Rayleigh did to scare Blackbeard. And as I mentioned, the Dark King, perhaps our dear Zoro, now known as King of Hell, can finally take that step forward by training his Conqueror's Haki, and who knows, receive Rayleigh's sword as a gift. With that in mind, could Zoro's future be intertwined with Rayleigh's? Could it be that, like Roger, Rayleigh has one of the most powerful swords in the world? Is this the path Zoro will take to finally overcome Dracula Mihawk? Stay with me, we'll talk about this now. And well, my dear pirates, I know many of you already know this, but it's always good to remember. After all, there are always people who aren't subscribed to the channel who may be getting to know him now. I've already made several videos talking about which sword Zoro should wield until the end of One Piece, how he should defeat Mihawk, and mainly about the correlation that Oda-sensei makes between Zoro and Rayleigh. So, I'm going to leave all these videos pinned to the card that you can access in the top right corner of the screen, or you can watch them by accessing the channel description, okay? But going back to the main theme of the video, Zoro and Rayleigh are a very interesting parallel, as are Roger and Luffy. Both were the first members of their captains' respective crews, that is, both are the first mates and right-hand men of their captains, both are swordsmen of a high level of skill, and of course, both carry a scar on their face. As I always like to say, Oda-sensei doesn't do anything that isn't premeditated. All these details, these foreshadowings, that Oda puts in his work always have a purpose, and I see that this comparison between Zoro and Rayleigh also fits into this. Even the enormous pride that both have at the time of a battle are similar. Both often like to humiliate their opponents, not in a completely purposeful way, but in a way in which their actions, fighting style, and even their speeches, they make them appear to mock any enemy that comes to face them.
Got to get serious!
Sorry, kid, but I'm always serious. Tough break.
What's the matter, muscle woman? Didn't you want to pit your strength against mine?
And since the next arc of One Piece will likely take place on Elbaf, I believe in the possibility that Rayleigh could appear on the island. In fact, I believe we will see a large-scale encounter on Elbaf. For me, Elbaf will have the last training arc of One Piece, the arc that will prepare the Straw Hats for the final war to come. Just as there is a possibility that Luffy will finally meet Shanks and perhaps train together, I believe that Rayleigh could also appear between the end of the Egghead arc and the beginning of the Elbaf arc. I talked about this in another video. I'll leave it on the pinned card and in the description for you to watch too. Well, if Elbaf is the transition arc for the end of One Piece, whether it has a small time skip or not, at least it would be interesting to see the final evolution of all the Straw Hats, with each of them receiving an upgrade for the final battle. Usopp and the Giants, Frankie and Nami receiving improvements from Vegapunk, Luffy training with Shanks, and so on. The possibilities are great. But focusing mainly on Zoro, strengthening his Conqueror's Haki while becoming an even more powerful swordsman would be the best way to evolve him, and Rayleigh would be the perfect person to help him on this journey. After all, Rayleigh is very powerful in both aspects. And who knows, Zoro will receive Rayleigh's sword as a gift after finishing this training, because among the many mysteries that surround the One Piece anime, one of these mysteries is Rayleigh's sword. We know that there are 12 swords of supreme grade, but we don't know the name of many of them, so there are bets that Rayleigh's sword is one of them, just as there are bets that Fujitori's sword is one of these legendary swords too. Maybe Rayleigh's unnamed sword is demonic, maybe it's one of the 12 supreme grade swords. Either way, it would be a good weapon for Zoro, just like Roger's A's sword, as I already mentioned in another video. Of course, these swords don't suit Zoro's style, who is used to using katana instead of saber. But, for the future greatest and best swordsman in the world, I believe that the style of the blade or sword should not be an obstacle, right? But I want to know your opinion about everything we commented here today. But of course, if you made it this far, it's because you like the content, so it doesn't hurt to subscribe to our channel and become one more member of our fleet, my dear pirate. And of course, do not forget to press the like button, that helps a lot in spreading the video and the channel, so help us to become the largest fleet of pirates here on YouTube, okay? A big hug for everyone. And until the next video.